Welcome back, everybody, to Let's Play The Legend of Zelda for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Last time, we braved the perils of level 6, and today we're heading off to level 7. I hated level 6 with a burning passion, so level 7, in contrast, won't be as annoying as the previous dungeon, thankfully. So, right now, I'm using what's called whistle warps, and this was something I forgot to mention earlier, in which you can actually use the whistle to travel to dungeons of which we previously defeated. So, depending on which direction Link faces, we'll be going to whatever dungeon in ascending or descending order of which we please. So, for example, if I face left, Link will warp in the proximity of where level 4 is, and if I face right, I'll be heading off to level 6 and so on. And again, this only applies to dungeons of which we've already previously conquered. You can't go and skip ahead to dungeons that we haven't tackled just yet. And speaking of that, level 7, 8, and 9 more or less are hidden in locations that don't make a whole lot of sense. Like, you know, in the cases of levels 1 through 6, they were, you know, located in pretty simple locations, right? They were put in, like, these, you know, castle-looking buildings or whatever. And in levels 6, not 6, but 7, 8, and 9's case, they're put in really off locations of the overworld that don't make a whole lot of sense. And, in level 7's case, it's actually based off a hint that we got from an old man in level 6, and he mentioned to go to a location in which fairies don't live. So, fairies usually live in ponds, right? We come over here, and lo and behold, there is no fairy of which to speak of. So, we're going to play the whistle here, which the old man did not specify, and the level location of 7 is open. So level 7 has that unique case of, you know, like levels, not levels, but level 4, in which that, like, it has reverse difficulty balance syndrome, in which that, like, it has an easier balance of enemies than the level before it, which I'll admit doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but, don't treat level 7 like a complete and total pushover. In fact, this is actually one of the more maze-like levels in comparison of which we faced so far. So for the most part, like, if you've played like the previous dungeons, then you'll realize that, you know, for the most part, if you take the doors like you're supposed to, then you should get through it no problemo, right? In level 7 case, it's a lot more maze-like, there's a lot more branching paths, and most importantly, we're going to be using a lot of bombs. And levels 7, 8, and 9 is definitely when my memory begins to trip up, because I forgot to mention this earlier, but the guidebook in which I used as a kid to get maps of levels 1 through 6 of, like, the first quest was the same guide that I used to basically navigate the entirety of my Metroid 1 playthrough. And yeah, as I've specified earlier, this only really works with those said dungeons. They don't have maps of levels 7, 8, and 9, and as such, my memory is a bit off as far as the layout is concerned. So, yeah, we're gonna be spending a bit longer in these said dungeons than previously mentioned, because I'll have to kind of rely on intuition from here on out. Not that these levels are too bad, just a lot of trial and error with wall bombing and such, and it shouldn't be too much of an issue. And of course I do plan to get the candle, because it's in somewhere within the depths of this dungeon. But yeah, I wasn't kidding when I said that enemy balance in this dungeon would be completely off. Like, in level 6, it was so freaking annoying because it was littered with so many Wizroads, and those are, like, you know, the toughest of the bunch when it comes to enemy variety. And then all of a sudden, we're seeing, like, Gorillas and Stalfos. Enemies we haven't seen since, like, levels 1 and 2? Yeah, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, honestly. We're just gonna skip that Dig Dogger, honestly, because we have so many keys as it is that I don't feel the need to divert my attention towards it, quite frankly. So I actually want to check out this wall right here. Yep, you're rude. Actually, you know what? I think that Dig Dogger probably has a map. So, never mind on what I said earlier. So, we're gonna just equip this here Wissile. Does he have the map? I forget. Either way, we're gonna get something for beating him anyway, so... Let's give it a good old smack with the boomerang-a-tang. Or, no, it's just gonna give us bombs, which I guess helps too. Speaking of bombs, level 7 also has a bomb upgrade, not unlike level 5, and if I happen to have enough money by the time we come across it, I'll definitely look into picking it up. At this point, I've more or less spent all of the money that I wanted to spend my money on for the entirety of Zelda 1, at least as far as the first quest is concerned. So, basically, all of my money from this point on is going to go towards either bomb upgrades or potions, more or less. Which shouldn't be too much of an issue, I'd suppose. I haven't really ran into the map yet, though. I'm quite surprised. But, let's see. Okay, so here's the bomb upgrade. Hopefully we'll have enough rupees by the time, we get through most of the dungeon here. Lost my train of thought. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the bait that we bought in the last video, that is more or less a necessity for this dungeon. It's another one of those cases in which that, like, if you don't have the prerequisite required item before heading off into this dungeon, you're not going to progress any further. So make sure to have the bait in hand by the time you come to this dungeon. Otherwise, you're not going to make it very far. And you'll see what I mean in just a moment. So I'm just going to ignore these Dodongos for now. I actually want to save those guys for later in case I need more bombs, since the Dongos are pretty useful in the sense that they give you free bomb refills if you happen to defeat them in a certain way. The same way in which I used to kill the level 2 boss earlier, so... Oh boy, another Dig Dogger. Whew. They're just throwing the kitchen sink in here, aren't they? Oh, and this one's a little bit different. This one splits into 3 rather than 1. See? They do just enough to keep these bosses a little bit more interesting when it comes to the refights later on, so I can't complain too much. One thing I know for certain, though, the candle is hidden in a very off location compared to most other dungeon items, so I'm really hoping I run into it later, because, it's one of those situations in which it's hidden in a corner of the map that doesn't have, like, a space designated to it, so you have to do some off-screen map bombing in order to find it. So yeah, this is the guy I mentioned and which we'll need our bait for. So bring it out, and that's all she wrote. And again, just another obligatory way or method of which you need to, like, grind money towards in order to even move forward in the first place, which is kind of annoying, but early NES era logic. What can I really say? Alright, so we're not too far off from the dungeon item, actually. I don't think. I think it's in that eye, if you know what I'm talking about, on the map. Oi. So let's go ahead and get our bombs out. Alright. And I think that's what I'm looking for. I could be totally wrong, though. So many gorillas. I honestly don't get what's up with that, but whatever. Alright, here we are. So that right there is the red candle. I'm surprised I managed to get this far without using the blue candle at all. But yeah, the red candle, infinite uses. Can't complain. You don't have to worry about single screen restrictions like you would normally with the blue candle, so that's nice. Not a necessity, not a necessity for beating this dungeon overall, but a very helpful item nonetheless. And in fact, after this dungeon is said and done, I'm going to be going through the overworld and grabbing a few more goodies before heading off to level 8. So we'll make our due payment with it here eventually. Getting close to 100 rupees, thankfully, so definitely want to make good use of these enemy drops here. Alright, so I do believe we can bomb right here? No? What's the point of this room then? Probably another dead end. Jesus Christ. Okay. Alright, so let's go back to where the dungeon item was. The room where we found it, anyway. And I think we can go down here? No? Okay. I figured as such. Yeah, usually if you hear, like, roaring like that, like the dungeon boss roaring, then generally speaking, that more or less means that we have a boss nearby, and it definitely helps when you're playing this game for the first time and you need like a better indication for where you need to bomb in order to like get a good idea of where to bomb and not waste too many of them, you know? So 2 locked doors, huh? Let's take this one. Oh boy, so many dig doggers. This dungeon has a huge infatuation with dig doggers, and I don't know why. Oh boy. Ah. Gosh darn it. These stupid fireballs. They need to get out of my darn way. Okay, so I got the idea to bomb there simply because, like, I saw a room to the right of where I was on the map. So, from that alone, I could kind of gauge the idea that, like, there's something over here, but I don't know how to get over here. So, I might as well, like, trial and error my way through with bombs and see how that works. And you have to do a lot of, like, trial and error as far as that's, you know, concern in order to like get a good feel of where you need to go next in a dungeon. And like that's not too prevalent in the first quest, admittedly, but it's definitely something you need to keep in mind when playing the second quest, where you need to do a lot of wall bombing in general, even from the first dungeon forward, in order to even make any good steady progress whatsoever. So alright, so yeah. So the compass gives us an idea of where the Triforce is, and I'm gonna use my instincts here to bomb to the right simply because like there's nowhere else to go. So I figured I'd bomb right since like, you know, I've been to the rooms above me, to the left of me, and far down south of me, so it's like, okay, I'll do my deductions there and then go from there, and that's kind of how I got the idea to bomb in that location as opposed to, like, just bullshitting my way through it, you know? But yeah, oh boy, level 7 was quite beefy, that's for sure. And of course, as if the level enemy balance wasn't already off enough, our boss was an Aquamentus of all things. But yeah, that was level 7. Quite long, if I do say so myself. I wasn't expecting this video to be 15 plus minutes, but yeah, we got level 7 done, so I can't complain. So all that's left now is levels 8 and 9, and we'll be through with the first quest. So before we head off to level 8, I actually want to do a bit of investigating with our newly found candle, and I'll go ahead and burn a few bushes while I'm at it, so that way I can see if we can find some good secrets. If I do get enough money to get some bomb upgrades for later on, I'll probably end up getting those off screen. I'm not going to be doing it on the camera simply because it wastes too much time. Okay, here we are. Not a whole lot of money, but it's something. Ow. Alright, so let's see here. Where do I want to go? Oh, I know. Let's go ahead and grab the last heart container in the game. So I want to head over to the direction of where level 1 is. Level 2, level 1. And I have no idea how you're supposed to find this out without a guide, but you want to come over here. And one of these bushes here houses a secret, so I'm going to use the candle right here. Here we are. And that right there is the last optional heart container in the game. And with that, we're pretty much near max completion here, guys. So, let's see here. Get over here. Alright, thank you. So, with that being said, that's going to wrap it up for this video of Let's Play The Legend of Zelda for the Nintendo Entertainment System. Next time, we're going to head off to level 8 and hopefully not get our ass kicked. So, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys then.